that might get clipped off. I'm learning about the YouTube format. Hey, Moo, would you mind closing my door for me, bud? Yeah. Thanks, bud. No, I know. I'm saying thanks. I'm learning about the YouTube format that, like, it cuts off the beginning of my live, so I will start talking because I jump right in. We jump right in. I start talking, I jump right in, and it cuts it off so that it just sounds like I don't know, sort of wandered in. But I am here. So what's going on with me today is I'm feeling the post-parade blues, the after gras, as my buddy calls the period of time after Mardi Gras, the after gras. It's hitting me pretty bad today. I think the weather's nice and my kids are being really cute and awesome, and I just wish I was out on a parade route with them. I wish I was out. That's just what I wish today. I wish I was at a parade with my kids. But so I started making like a bunch of these kind of relax me, making the little mini beads. These are the little beads that like I put on the little bead trees, and I put them on fences, and I put them on tables. I just make a ton of these. I always have uses for them. And so I started making these, made some muses, some iris, some purple, green, and gold, kind of made a lot of them. And I was like, oh, we might be really getting into like, let's change gears. Let's do something else. And I thought, it's Saturday, weather's good, kids are behaving well. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and do session 6, because this will be our 6th. I have a little bit of a lisp, so that is a difficult word for me to say. And maybe not even, I have a little bit. I've got a lisp, so 6th is hard for me to say. But last session, so first session we did the top and the outside. Second session we did the sole and the heel. Third session we did top coat. Third and fourth. So first and second session were first coat. Third and fourth sessions were top coat. First, I think I'm alternating. I think my terminology is a little scrambled there. Y'all have to bear with me because I can't believe how tired I still am from carnival season, but I guess I was burning the candle at both ends for 3 months, so you don't just sleep in one day and replenish that. And also, I don't think I have slept in once since carnival season. Just running around, running the business, and taking care of my kids. So what I meant to say, forget what I said before. First and second sessions were our first coat, our base coat, the slightly contaminated mix of Baked with Love that we put down just to get the first coat on there. First coat doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be on there. Third and fourth sessions were our second coat. Clean Baked with Love, nice, tidy, make sure no bald spots, nice, even coat. And so 4 sessions in, we had these 3 heels completely glittered. So session 5, the last session, we added our fake frosting texture using Aleene's Glitter Snow. So you can obviously go back and watch it, but all it is I just scooped it. Oh, and I also trimmed the lower edges. Some of them got a little bit of braid, some of them got a sequin trim. So the glitter snow has had plenty of time to firm up. And you know that glitter snow is dry when you press it and it's got no squish in it at all. Once it will hold its shape so it doesn't collapse at all, but it will dry out and be firm. So that's all firm and ready. So now these are ready to get their sugar. And I was sitting down to do this and realized that we specifically sell a set of fake king cake sugar glitters at the store, and you can get it in the littler size and the bigger size if you're doing a bunch. And it's awesome. It's purple, green, and gold. It really sugary iridescent glitter, and I just don't have it, so I'm gonna do the next best thing today. I'm gonna use, and I kind of warred with myself, like, oh, should I wait and use the exact right thing? But I think part of the nature of making things is you kind of work with what you got on hand. So that's kind of what we're gonna do. So what I have is the next best thing is this is Jello Shot, this is Atomic Pineapple, and this is Mirliton. And these are what we would call an extra fine glitter. So 015, so a little bit coarser than ultrafine. Ultrafine is 0.008. This is 0.015, so it's twice as big, but still not like, it's gonna look sugary. I like the slightly bigger flake, but today we're gonna work with what we have. So I have this, and I also was thinking it would be fun because I did some mini king cakes where I used the velvets. That's our newest line of glitter at Craft Culture. The velvets are just really smooth and velvety. They're sort of a powdery, kind of pearly glow. So I've got the purple, green, and gold of those. I've got green velvet, purple velvet, and the gold is, we call it butterscotch yellow because it's like those kind of butterscotch candies. It's a really pretty kind of gold, kind of a warm, caramelish sort of yellow gold. So I do want to do one shoe where I do this and see how it looks because it looked very like sanding sugary. So I'm going to do one of those. And part of me is like, oh, should I do a third thing? But I think what I'm going to do is 2 of them regular sugar, 1 of them in velvet, and we're going to see how we feel about that. So as I mentioned last time, when you do the glitter snow coating, what you absolutely cannot, sorry y'all, what you absolutely cannot do is put the sugar or the sprinkles. That would have been cool if I had done 1 velvet, 1 sugar, and then 1 sprinkles, but I don't think I have any, purple, green, and gold sprinkles, unfortunately. I think what I have is at the glitter store. That's part of my difficulty is I move back and forth between both spaces and nothing is ever exactly where I want it to be, but we keep it rolling. So I'll just do 2 sugar and 1 velvet, but it would have been cool to do sprinkles. You can do this with sprinkles and it looks really cute. More like a Randazzo king cake. All right, that's too big. So the glitter snow on its own though, whether you're doing sugar or sprinkles or whatever you're doing on there, you cannot put it directly onto the glitter snow. The glitter snow does not have any sticky. Once it dries, all your sugar is going to flake off and it's going to be kind of a problem. So what you're going to do is get yourself a little paintbrush, and you could Mod Podge directly onto this and then put your frosting, not your frosting, I'm sorry. This makes the frosting texture. The paint or the glue helps stuff stick. So you could absolutely grab a little Mod Podge, paint it on there, and you'd be fine. But what I like to do is I save my little white mist scribbles. I feel like I'm one of those like, you save your white mist scribbles, and once it's empty, once the tube is like nothing's coming out, what I like to do is this. I save these because I do a lot of king cakes, and it's just a clever, thrifty little haha. So you can see it's not squeezing out of the tube real good anymore, but there's still plenty in there. So I take my little brush and I just spread that iridescent white. Oh, and I wanted to mention, so there are a lot of videos on the Craft Culture, not a lot, but I'm working on getting more. There are some videos, some how-tos for our kits and our materials and our techniques and supplies and stuff on the NOLA Craft Culture YouTube. So this is my personal YouTube, but I also make content for NOLA Craft Culture, obviously, because that's my spot. But also for the king cake specifically, I believe that Make Me Something Sister on Instagram did a tutorial of this exact shoe. So, or not this exact shoe, this kind of style of shoe. So if you're really jonesing for like, not if you're really, you would not have to be, you could be interested in, you could be really feeling some king cake content, and I would not judge that at all because I am also starting to really miss king cake. I'm playing it cool, like I haven't been sad about not having king cake since basically Ash Wednesday. But Make Me Something Sister on Instagram, and also a shoe artist, and I believe I'm pretty sure Carnival was kind of a blur, so if you told me I hallucinated that, I wouldn't be like, what? No, I definitely saw that. But I'm pretty sure she did the king cake. And I don't know if she maybe did the kit, she maybe did her own riff on it. I'm not sure, but I know she has done king cakes, and I'm pretty sure she did a video. All right. So it's hard to see in a recording, But basically, the white mist gives it a little shimmer. It's like an iridescent. And so now, I'm gonna set that aside. Now she's ready for some sugar. I've got Atomic Pineapple, Mirliton, and Jello Shot. And again, we do have the sugar at Craft Culture, and that would probably be a little bit more the vibe. Purple, green, gold. But this works fine as a, this is what I have on hand. Sometimes we use what we have on hand, and that's, it is fine. Nobody catching that would be like, oh, the flake size isn't exactly perfect. Or if they are, then, they need to re-examine some things. If you go to the parade and you catch a king cake shoe and you're like, no, I don't know, then, figure some things out. All right. So I'm just taking pinches of these and sprinkling them on. And I will say it can be kind of tough to ballpark. And I definitely do the thing where I'm like, ooh, that stripe was really big and that one's really small. That's part of making a king cake, in my opinion, is kind of like winging it and kind of like, that's what makes it look real. The mistakes make it look real. All right, purple, green, gold. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm doing this where y'all can't see. Purple, green, gold. So she's so cute. And then I'm going to check and see if I have any like spots where I want to add because it's hard. I'm putting white paint on top of white. So I'm definitely going to have some spots where I missed it, but that's okay. I'm going to fill in a little bit, but I'm also not going to stress too much about it because it's not like the sugar goes absolutely everywhere. I mean, there you can see the white frosting through the sugar, so the sugar doesn't have to be completely filled in, is what I'm saying. But I am getting my little bit of, just to check if I have any spots that maybe could use a little bit of love. Alrighty. So I'm going to touch up a few spots. I noticed my upper lip could use a little bit more sweetness. Just a few extra little pinches. And that will help you too from your stripes not being too uneven. If you do them kind of light and then fill in where you need to fill in, that's just going to kind of help you out. I do not hate this. I do not hate these three colors. I feel okay about that. I mean, I feel better than okay about that. I'm liking the way that looks. That was a really solid plan B, and I'm proud of myself for making a solid plan B. For not being too rigid. Staying flexible. Just going to keep you a little happier. And then a little bit there. Okay. So that one is one done. One done. I mean, we do still need to write muses on her. And I've got my little king cake babies to glue when she's dry. Glue a little king cake baby in there. So, but that's one sugared. Only sugar, let's see. All right, for comparison, this is the same style. This is the same pair. So I'll do one of these sugar and one of them velvet. And we'll see how we feel about that. And I'm going to keep her kind of close-ish so I can kind of look at her and be like, because this stripe is a lot wider than this stripe. So I'd kind of like to, she's fine. Like I said, the mistakes make them look real, but I would like to even it out a little bit. So I've got her here to kind of approximate what an appropriate sugar splotch width is. But yeah, you could definitely Mod Podge this. But I do have the white mist, and I think it just adds a little bit of pearly in your frosting. I think just makes it look prettier, makes it look more like a sweet. I don't want to fully glitter the frosting. I don't want to put white glitter on top of that because then I'm going to lose the sort of naturalistic aesthetic. All right, she's wiped out. And she's almost wiped out, but there was still a lot of life left in there. So even when your tube stops being able to contribute to a transfer, and I don't do that with every color. I have not really found any real need to keep any other color except the white mist or the crystal. The crystal would also work. But, you know. What I actually might do, since I already did one sugar. All right. I already did one sugar. I'll go ahead and do one velvet. And then if I like the velvet a lot better than the sugar, plenty in there. If I like the velvet a lot better than the sugar, you know, I'm going to do one sugar, one velvet, and then whichever I like best will be the third one. Part of what I love about working in like batches, kind of picking one design and doing multiple iterations at once, part of it is the efficiency, which I absolutely love. I was talking to another muse and she was like, oh, I got tired, you know, I got tired of doing king cakes. And so, you know, I've taken a break from king cakes. It's like, I fully get that. The repetition does kind of feel a little less artistically exciting than doing something completely fresh and new. But in addition to the efficiency, in addition to the like good feeling of like having all those shoes kind of done and banked, if you will, is when you're working like that, you can kind of make slight comparisons, make like little changes like this. Like I'm going to do a couple of different styles on the sugar, and I can, in that way, very quickly refine my process. So if I did like one king cake shoe a year, I'd be like, what did I do last time? Oh yeah, okay, maybe I'll try, maybe I'll do that again. And then maybe next year I'll see if so working in small batches lets you really kind of find your artistic voice. So the trade-off in terms of it being kind of like, oh, this again. And I'm pretty careful to not work in batches so big that I ever really get to a place of, oh, this again. Because this is what I do. This is what makes me happy. These are my love letters. So I personally don't really try not to get into a space of, oh, this again. But if you were kind of feeling that, I would maybe step down my batch sizes. Green. And I think to kind of spread it out, I'm going to kind of, in my brain, kind of cut it into 3 and kind of start there. That is really cute. Oh, I'm mixing up my jars. All right, here's the purple velvet. So purple, green, gold, purple. And as many of these as I do, if I don't say that to myself out loud, purple, green, gold, I will kind of mess it up. And then, you know, I'm sure that happens in the bakeries too. And I'm sure they still sell a king cake with the imperfect frosting results, but better to at least try to keep it. I really do like the velvets as sugars. Uh-oh, I might be finding something out about. I've been making king cake shoes since like before my kids were born probably, and still you continue to refine it, you know, you continue to play around and find new things, and that's really cool. Oh, I really do like the velvets. Hang on, let me see how the whole thing looks together. That's very fun. That's very fun. It really looks like old school king cake. Oh, I really like that. Oh, I'm not one to do less shine. And the velvets do have more of a glow and less of a shine. Well, they glow more than they sparkle, I would say. All right, let me get a few little touch-ups just like the last time, and then I'm going to look at them side by side, but I really like that. It really has a like old school vibe that I'm very much feeling very drawn to. Checking on my sweet piece. They're such good kids. I'm so lucky that I got such good kids. So if you watched the early lives, some of you probably have seen my elder kiddo, but probably haven't seen who was at the time during COVID lives, my baby, and is now not a baby. No more babies in my house. All right. But they are big enough that they don't really want to be on videos, and I think I support that. That's their call to make. And the internet is a strange place, so I certainly would rather my children not be on the internet. All right, there we go. I think it's maybe a little more there. And I just want it to look, you know, even. I really, because the velvets are so soft and powdery, they did kind of really fill in all the frosting. That's okay. Oop. It's really testing my capacity to focus that I have 6 jars over here, 2 greens, 2 purples, 2 golds, and I'm trying to remember who to pinch into. Probably not going to keep that perfectly consistent. All right. Very cool. So these are kind of how they look. This one, ooh, they're both very fun. She just needs a little bit more on the bottom. When I shift her, I don't like I say I want some white still showing, but when I look at her, I don't like that as much. So we're going to just add a little bit. And normally I say never add glue or paint on top of wet glitter, but I'm dabbing it in carefully, and if it's a little smudgy, that's fine. That's kind of how it looks. But we'll see how we feel about that. Boop. Boop, boop, boop. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. All right. So that one's the velvets. Looks really realistic, and then that one's the sugar. Ooh, I like them both a lot. Do we want to try and mix them and see how they work mixed? I mean, you know, no harm in playing. I'm going to set those down there. Oh, they're both really cute. Why not? Why don't we try a little mixing? Why don't we see how they look mixed? Why not? You good, guys? Good. Everything's good. All right, let me see how I feel about them mixed in the cup, and then maybe we'll do, I said winner takes all, but I like them both a lot. Let me start in a Special cup. I like them both a lot, so let me play around and see how we feel about a little mix. So you will remember, I tried to say y'all and you will, and it turned into a y'all. Y'all will remember, perhaps, that I said keep your empty jars because you need to do mixes sometimes. Let's see how we feel about that. Well, it's pretty fun. Oh, I ain't mad at that. I would not. All right. And I'm starting with a tiny little bit. If you're scared to mix, and that's understandable, I'm not going to mock your fear. But if you're a little hesitant, shall we say, if you're a little hesitant to mix your glitters, because like, oh, I don't want to waste my glitter, start small, you know, do a small amount and kind of see how it feels. And if it feels awful, you can just put it in your Special cup and keep going with your life. It is okay to play a little bit and find out some things. Those are pretty fun. I'm going to put them on the shoe. Why not? Experimentation is important, and you know. Oh, they're pretty mixed together. The purple, green, and gold velvet. I accidentally spilled a little. That would be pretty. Focus up. I could make 20 king cakes and do something different on each of them and learn a lot from that, but at a certain point in time, you have to rein yourself in a little. All right, so these 3, you can't really see them in the jar, but you'll see them on the shoe. These are a mix, a sort of like 50-50 velvet, and I'm going to put a little more green velvet in there. Velvet and extra fine. See if it kind of gives me a little something in the middle. And all right. She is not squeezing anymore. I don't know why I feel the need to demonstrate that so dramatically. But I know she's still got plenty of love to give. Yep. Plenty to work with. And it is also obviously, it is completely fine to buy a tube and use it fresh if you don't feel the need to do this like Children of the Great Depression type stuff. But always I want to get the most out of my materials. Always I want to stretch. I want to stretch my dollars and stretch my throw sustainability. Because the more efficient I am, you know, the more I can get done and the more people I can make happy on Muses Thursday, including myself and the other people who I help out with their shoes. All right. Another thing I will mention is if you open it up, if you've got a bunch of them to do, you could mix a little Mod Podge into this and make it even thinner. But I like it kind of thick because I think it adds to the texture of the frosting. Makes it look really nice. That's so hard to see. I'm doing white on white, which is like, whenever I do like white work shoes, whenever I make a tutorial for like the unicorn or the bathtub or like any of the shoes where I'm doing like white glitter, then white paint, then white glue on the white paint, and then white glitter on the white glue, I feel like I'm just... I feel like I'm holding stuff up and being like, see? And it's nobody sees. But that's, you trust me, maybe. Or try it yourself, you know. Alrighty. Nice thick layer of, I will say, because I'm putting this nice thick layer of my white paint, my dimensional white paint, it will take a while to dry. So I'm going to need to be patient. I ideally don't want to do stuff like that where the frosting, the paint sort of goes off of the edge of the texturing, but Po Buddy's Nerfect, we're going to just not worry about that. There's how I would ideally like it to go and what I'm willing to accept as perfectly fine. And man, the space between those two things, ooh, you could drive a truck through that gap between what I would ideally like and what I'm willing to roll with when things get real. Okay, so I'm making sure that I'm getting all the texture painted, including the top edge and the bottom edge, because on the last two I kind of had to touch those up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and get it now before I'm into the touch-up territory. And that's still a lot of paint, so I'll just seal that in a bag so that it doesn't dry out, and I'll use it the next time I need to paint white frosting on something. And I can use that on my mini king cakes if I'm doing a little table, and we're probably going to get to that. We'll probably do some king cake tasting party tables before the season is at an end. All right. So now we're going to use our mixes. See how they go. Okay. Purple. Just kind of darkens. It looks like the sugar, but a little darker. I'll put them up side by side. So 1, 2, 3. I sort of roughly eyeball it into thirds, and I start small because that gives me the option to kind of expand on either side. Now I've got 9 bottles. Let me close some of these. I was like, ooh, it's hard to keep track when I have 6 bottles and 2 of them are purple and 2 of them are green and 2 of them are gold. And I was like, you know what would make that even more challenging? All right, so those are my extra fines. I really do love Atomic Pineapple. She's so gorgeous. They're all gorgeous. I love all of our glitters. Oh, I didn't put gloves on today. Y'all will have to bear with me. So I just have my mixes now. All right, purple. All right, purple, green. Yeah, they look cute mixed together. It looks, you get the sparkle from the sugar and the sort of richer coloration from the velvet. I'm not opposed to that at all. That's a cool option. And of course, probably the easiest is to use the king cake sugar or the king cake sprinkles, but it's fun to play around. All right, purple and then green. Okay. Okay. And then I'm gonna start to add my gold. Yeah, I like the combination. I think that gives a very pretty, I'll show you guys all three. It's hard to see in here, and I'll probably throw some videos up on the Instagram where I tend to do most of my documenting. All right. Yeah, the mix of extra fine and velvets. Very nice effect. So, I don't think I can like narrow it down and be like, oh, this one is my favorite. But all of the options bring a little something different to the experience. The mix is probably my favorite because it's got the depth of color and the sparkle. So I do like that. I'll wait for them to dry and check them out in the sun and see if any clear winners emerge, in my opinion. But I liked all three, and I'll pop them back up here in 1 second. I'm just making sure I get the sugar into my top edge. I tend to miss that the first time through. And I need to make the transfers for these, but of course I want to do that on camera so that y'all can see me make some transfers. I don't know if we'll do that today. I could do that today. I don't think we're going to do that today. All right. So she's all finished. I think I want a little bit more. And if I were really feeling frisky, I could like make some mixes and kind of blend them. I'm not quite feeling that frisky, so I won't. But let me clean this up and show you all three of my girls side by side. I see one spot of confetti. I see one piece of confetti, and I want to get her out of there. So with a toothpick, I'm just going to flick her off there. Get out of there. All right. Let me clean up a little bit. All right. I've got a bunch of little pieces that are trash, but I also am doing... Come on. I don't have a bag handy for, but we're going to be doing champagne shoes a little bit later. So I've got my bottles and my flutes ready. So I'll just use her. Perfect. Never throw anything away. God forbid we ever escape craft hoarder status. All right. So my little mixes, I'll probably hang on to those. I'll probably slap a lid on those and label them and keep those because I think they are cute and I might use them for something. So now I've got these little bits of just, these are now, I can actually let these go. Hard to believe, but true. But let me clean up my space and show y'all how these king cakes came out with different topping options. And I mentioned I need to get some fresh. All right, so this is the mix of both. Wish the light was a little bit better. I'm moving myself, like that impacts the light. That's the mix. That's the velvet on its own. The velvet on its own really looks realistic in a very fun way. And this is the, don't touch, don't touch. I'm trying to show them all, but also not have them touch each other while they're wet. So, yeah, the Jello shot is a little bit red, so I think that's probably what I'm liking, that the purple velvet gives it a little bit more of a blue tone. But they're all pretty cool. They're all fun. Here, let me see if I can line up the shot. think I can. But they all look pretty cool. They're all definitely king cakes, so I love that. So I'm gonna let these dry for quite a while, and I'll throw some pictures up on Instagram when they are dry and it's a little easier to get. But yeah, I really love the velvets as sugars, so that's a fun discovery. I do not hate the extra fines as sugar, so that's a good plan B. And I really like the combination of the two of them. I think that makes a fun little blend that has a nice depth of color, but also a little pop of sparkle. So I'm gonna let these, I wanna show, oh, that's not bad. You can see them like that, probably. That's not bad. I'm gonna go ahead and let these dry. Once they're dry, I will take my archaeologist brush and give it a little brush and we'll see. My sense is that these should be stuck on there pretty good, but if I find that I'm getting a lot of shed, I will glaze these because as you move up to a bigger size of glitter, you're gonna get a little bit less adhesion, a little less cover. And so I wanna have my options available to me there. But I'm very pleased with those three. I'm gonna let those dry. So next time we will make transfers. We'll work on our pizza shoes next time. But this is a perfectly lovely little step in the process. And so today is the last day of February, so tomorrow we enter into March. So I need to finish my March shoes, which are my king cakes and my pizza slices, and then we're gonna get into, finish my February shoes, which are king cakes and pizza slices. And then, spoiler alerts, we're gonna do, in March, we are going to do flip-flop po' boys. This is a really fun one. And I'm probably still in chill territory. So we're gonna do the flip-flop po' boy, which is really awesome because it doesn't stress you out in terms of it's very easy to find cheap flip-flops. So this is a good way to kind of get rolling and do something unconventional with an unconventional shape. Oh, there she is. Just as a sneak peek, what you do with a flip-flop is you spear it on a dowel, a little shish kebab. You get a pair. One of them you slice everything off of there. One of them you leave this part on. You glitter these. And what's great about the shish kebab is it makes like a lollipop, so you can just put all the glue, all the glitter, and then stick it in a cup and let it dry. So you do the whole thing in one go. So you only take, 2 days, 2 coats, done. So we're gonna do our flip-flop lollipops. And then that makes your bread. That makes your sandwich. And I'll show y'all how we make fried shrimp po' boys. And also I'm gonna play around a little bit. We did this very cool set at Craft Culture of like a muffalata set. And I have some thoughts on how to play with that. So my thinking is that for March, I'll do 2 fried shrimp po' boys because those are nice and straightforward and I'm a big fan of those. And then 1 muffalata, probably. So that's 3 flip-flop sandwiches in 1 month. And then I'm going to go ahead and do something kind of chill that we will get to. We talked a little bit about the velvets today, but I did a couple of these last year and I loved them. They were beautiful, but they were impactful. So nothing wrong with a shoe that doesn't drain every ounce of your energy. It's totally cool to do shoes that are simple to make and beautiful to behold. So what I would recommend is picking out your favorite velvet. I'm probably gonna do the Wave Velvet, I think. That's our powder blue. Though my jar looks a little light, so I might need to see what I've got. But I'll probably buy 1 2-ounce jar of whatever velvet speaks to me. Probably either the pink velvet or the Wave Velvet, which is our powder blue. But I'm gonna make that decision I'm gonna cross that bridge when I get to it. And then the chiffon flowers. We have these little packets. We have these little packets of chiffon flowers at Craft Culture. And they come a little 5-pack. And I guess I could do different colors on the waves, but we're going to be efficient. So I would match the chiffon to the velvet. So I'm going to get myself 3 5-packs of either ballerina pink or powder blue. And then in March, I'm going to finish my king cakes. These are pretty close to done, but I'm going to finish my king cakes. I'm going to finish my pizza slices. We're going to do some flip-flop po' boys. We're going to have flip-flop season. We got our swim trunks and our flippy floppies. And then we're going to do 3 chill velvets. Nothing wrong with some sculpture, some chill. We're going to keep it going. And so that's where we are today. I'm very pleased with how these came out. Loving the feeling of having 3 shoes almost done before we're even out of February. Part of me really wanted to be like, ooh, let's get them completely finished. Let's do those transfers. But it's also totally fine to, the advice is such a cliche, but it's so true. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And that's especially true even if you work it's true even if you work year round. It's true especially if you work year round, because you got to pace yourself if you're going to make it all in one piece. So thank you all for, I would love to hear feedback on how people are enjoying it. We're now technically a month in, though we only really started, obviously, after Mardi Gras. So this one wasn't really a full month, but it got us started, and I'd like to keep it going. And so I would love to hear if people have feedback or people are working on stuff. I've already heard a little bit of that. So, and probably people won't jump in quite yet, but they'll be able to look back to the videos. So I'm looking into ways of like organizing the videos and maybe like having links and stuff. I have some thoughts. I'm going to keep working on it. It's a work in progress, like so many things. So thank you all very, very much. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend and enjoys the beautiful weather. And I will see you guys back here for session 7. Thank you.